While we have benefits, we have the risks associated with that. Okay. And this, believe me, this is the very first thing you have to understand before getting started with it. Because this is not perfect. I want to mention it outright here itself. That Gen AI is kind of a tool that can be used as a tool or as a weapon. Right. So, yes, if it is used for good, it can enhance your capabilities, your productivity, your efficiency. And if it is in the wrong hands, and if it is not handled, and if it is not used well, on the other hand, it does have its downside too. Okay. So, talking about the risks associated, how can I know if the foundation model is sufficient to support my requirements? Now, that's what, as I've told you, is most of the times you will see that your foundation models are capable of doing that. The only place where it will not be is if you are looking for a very specific information pertaining to your own organization. I hope that makes sense. Right. Otherwise, you see, for all the general use cases, it will always be capable enough. The only place where you will see that it is not giving the required result would be for specific data. And that can be augmented. You can augment your specific data with foundation models as well to make it more accurate. Okay. So the answer would be yes, it may not be at places, at certain situations, but you can make it with putting out or with assisting assisting your model with the required information. Is one of them could be like the operational risks. Okay, even we'll see how to mitigate those as well. And I mean, to some extent, we can do that. Okay, for example, uh, the errors that can arise. I mean, you see, earlier, no, even if while I was showing you the deep learning model a while back, okay, it was putting out certain labels that was less probable. It was not there too, right? So errors can be there. It is not 100% accurate. Biases. Okay, in fact, this is one demo I'll be showing you where we'll see that once you put out a prompt, right, the answer will highly depend on the training data. For example, just to, and this is something that I'll show you later on, is when I say show me an image of a physicist. Okay, now depending on the model, I'll show you at times that it will just, most of the times for certain models, it will show out a physicist uh, as a male, right? But is it true? No, right? Because we have some exceptional female physicists as well over the history. Now, the thing behind it is the way the model was trained. This is a bias. We have to mitigate it. We'll see that as well. I mean, in many cases and many such prompts that we'll put out, no, depend on the kind of data it was fed with. You'll get the appropriate answer, and might not take into account the diversity, the possibility of, or the randomness of the answer as well. It can be assuming, or it can be assuming certain, or it can be inferring certain information depending on the provided data. So again, it's a big responsibility that comes to us when we are training our models as well. Okay, you see, I don't know how many of you are aware of it. Some time back, I mean, there was that big uh, issue that had occurred, right? For certain responses that one of the mm, one of the Gen AI model was giving. But anyway, that totally is upon the bias because of the. It's not intentional again, team. Believe, I mean, just have to understand that it's not intentional. Might not be as well always, but because of the scarcity of the data, lack of data, or rather because of intentional as well. So it's a responsibility that is on our shoulders. Next thing could be the unintended consequences as well, that comes as a part of it. Okay. Second risk that could be associated with that is let us say from the compliance point of view, or to put it very simply, it might be violating your intellectual property. Now, how it can happen? You see, when you're providing it as a data, no, let us say that the data was not, it was a copyright protected data, and that was provided. Now, when it puts out that data as the output, it is violating your intellectual property, right? So it's not might not have been done intentionally, but still it is violating your intellectual property. And that's really, really a big concern. Next could be the social impact of that. Okay. From the, you see, at times, uh, to put it very simply, certain things may not go in line with the social norms, right? So, a particular culture, a particular uh, overall practices in that particular territory may not be happy with certain answers. Okay, I'm just not putting out any example for that. I don't want to. I mean, it can be, it can go. I mean, it cannot be uh, uniform for anyone, right? So, a particular output, a particular response of your Gen AI can offend a particular community, a particular culture, a particular territory, a particular country. You may never know because it does not care, right? You see, your Gen AI model is not going to care what's other than anything other than the data. It's rather neutral. It's a neutral, unless you have made it kind of biased. It is generally neutral. It only works on the data that you have provided, right? So there is a social risk that's associated as well, and also one of the biggest issue that in the near future that we will all see. I don't we don't want to see that, but still, it's a big concern. Is the privacy, isn't it? So your privacy can be violated, can get violated because if your personal information, the personally identifiable information, PII as we call it, if it is out somewhat, somewhere, someplace, and if it is being used to train the model has no. The thing is, like, I'm being very careful with my words here. The risk, I'm sure I have conveyed what possible implications it could have. Right, from the privacy point of view, you could have already understood. Socially, you could have already understood. Regulatory, you could have already understood. And so is from the operational point of view with the biases and all. You see, uh, one thing, team, I'll tell you at the end of it is Gen AI, machine learning. You'll see it. Okay, we are starting with it right now. You'll see it in detail further going in future. But one thing to remember is it does not have its own brain. Okay, yes, we are trying a lot to make it mimic one, but still, it does not have its own conscience, it does not have its own understanding of its own. It is basically learning through the data that has been provided. Okay, so a big and a huge responsibility gets in, or you have to kind of be sort of conscious about the kind of responsibility you have when you're working with Gen AI, or rather with machine learning in general.
Thank you so much for staying with us till the end of the video. Now all you have to do is just click the link in the description below, or if you are just starting out, just type k21academy.com/AWSAIML02. Now, in this page you can enter your name, enter email ID, enter phone number and click on book your free seat now. Then you will be taken to a thank you page. Now you can add this session to your Google Calendar or Apple Calendar, and I promise this is something that you don't want to miss. So go ahead, click on the link and step into the world where learning knows no boundaries. Till then, keep enjoying. I'll see you in the next video.